The morning sun cast long shadows across the rocky terrain of Afghanistan's Kunar province as Staff Sergeant Maya Chun adjusted her rifle scope for the third time in 10 minutes. The weight of her M24 sniper rifle felt familiar in her hands, like an extension of her own body after countless hours of training. She had been lying motionless in her concealed position for nearly 6 hours, watching the valley below through her scope with the patience of a predator. Maya was not your typical soldier. Born in San Francisco to immigrant parents who had fled Vietnam, she grew up listening to stories of war and survival that most children only heard in history books. Her father, a former South Vietnamese soldier, had taught her to shoot when she was 12 years old on their family's small ranch outside the city. What started as weekend target practice quickly revealed an extraordinary natural talent that would eventually change the course of her life. At 28 years old, Maya had already served 3 tours in Afghanistan as part of an elite reconnaissance unit. Her small frame and quiet demeanor often led others to underestimate her, but those who served alongside her knew better. She possessed an almost supernatural ability to remain undetected, earning her the nickname Ghost among her fellow soldiers. Her accuracy with a rifle was legendary within her unit, with a confirmed kill record that surpassed many of her male counterparts. The mission that would define her legacy began 3 days earlier when intelligence reports indicated that a high-value target, Taliban commander Khalil Hakim, was planning a major offensive against coalition forces. Hakim was known for his tactical brilliance and his ability to coordinate complex attacks that had resulted in significant casualties among American and Allied forces. Taking him out was considered a top priority, but previous attempts had failed due to his careful security measures and the rugged terrain he used to his advantage. Maya's team consisted of 6 other specialists: communications expert Corporal Johnson, medic Sergeant Martinez, explosives specialist Private Rodriguez, and 3 other reconnaissance soldiers. They had been inserted into the area under cover of darkness, establishing a temporary observation post on a ridge overlooking a valley where Hakim was believed to be meeting with his lieutenants. The landscape around them was unforgiving. Sharp rocks jutted from the earth like broken teeth, and the sparse vegetation provided little natural cover. The altitude made every breath a conscious effort, and the temperature swings from scorching days to freezing nights tested even the most experienced soldiers. Maya had spent years training in similar environments, but the psychological pressure of this particular mission was unlike anything she had experienced before. As the hours passed, Maya's team maintained radio silence, communicating only through hand signals and predetermined gestures. They had rehearsed this operation dozens of times, but everyone understood that no plan survives contact with the enemy. The intelligence they had received suggested that Hakim would be lightly protected, but Maya's instincts told her otherwise. Something about this felt too easy, too convenient. Through her scope, Maya observed the target building, a small compound nestled in the valley below. The structure appeared abandoned from a distance, but subtle signs indicated recent activity. Fresh tire tracks in the dirt, wisps of smoke from a hidden chimney, and the occasional movement of shadows behind covered windows. She made mental notes of everything, building a detailed picture of the environment that might prove crucial in the hours ahead. The first sign of trouble came at 1,347 hours when Maya noticed movement on the far ridge, approximately 800 meters from their position. Through her scope, she could make out the distinctive outline of a sniper rifle, partially concealed behind a rock formation. The shooter was well-positioned and clearly experienced, having chosen a location that provided excellent visibility of the valley while remaining largely hidden from view. Maya's heart rate remained steady as she processed this new information. She had encountered enemy snipers before, but something about this situation felt different. The positioning was too professional, too coordinated. She began scanning the surrounding ridges with renewed intensity, her years of training allowing her to spot subtle details that others might miss. Within minutes, she had identified not 1, but 3 additional sniper positions strategically placed around the valley. Each shooter had selected their location with obvious skill, creating overlapping fields of fire that would make any approach to the target building extremely dangerous. Maya realized they had walked into a carefully planned trap, with her team positioned directly in the center of the enemy's kill zone. The weight of responsibility settled on her shoulders like a familiar burden. She was the team's designated marksman, and the lives of her fellow soldiers now depended on her ability to neutralize these threats before they could eliminate her unit. Maya had always prided herself on her calm under pressure, but this situation pushed even her considerable skills to their limits. She carefully adjusted her position, moving with deliberate slowness to avoid detection. Every movement was calculated, every breath controlled. Maya understood that she would likely only get one opportunity to engage each target, and failure would mean certain death for herself and her teammates. The enemy snipers had chosen their positions well, but they had made one critical mistake. They had not accounted for someone with Maya's unique combination of skills and experience. As she began to formulate her attack plan, Maya reflected on the journey that had brought her to this moment. Her path to becoming an elite sniper had been unconventional, marked by challenges that had tested both her physical abilities and her mental resilience. Growing up as the daughter of immigrants, she had learned early that success required twice the effort and twice the determination of those around her. Her recruitment into the military had come through a chance encounter at a civilian shooting competition where she had dominated a field of experienced marksmen. A Marine recruiter had witnessed her performance and suggested she consider military service, recognizing a natural talent that could be honed into something extraordinary. Maya had initially resisted, planning to pursue a career in engineering, but the recruiter's words stayed with her. The decision to enlist had not been easy. Her parents, who had fled one war, were understandably reluctant to see their daughter volunteer for another. But Maya felt a calling that she could not ignore, a sense that her unique abilities could be used to protect others and serve a greater purpose. Her determination had eventually worn down their objections, though they never fully understood her choice. Basic training had been challenging, but not overwhelming for someone with Maya's physical conditioning and mental discipline. What surprised her instructors was not her marksmanship ability, which was evident from day one, but her capacity for leadership and tactical thinking. She approached every challenge with a methodical precision that reminded veteran drill sergeants of their best soldiers. Advanced training as a reconnaissance specialist had pushed Maya to her limits and beyond. The physical demands were extreme, involving long-range patrols, survival exercises, and combat scenarios designed to simulate the most challenging conditions soldiers might face in combat. Maya excelled in every area, but it was her performance during sniper training that truly set her apart from her peers. Her instructors quickly recognized that Maya possessed something beyond technical skill. She had an intuitive understanding of wind patterns, terrain features, and target behavior that could not be taught in a classroom. During training exercises, she consistently outperformed soldiers with years more experience, hitting targets at distances that challenged even seasoned marksmen. The psychological aspects of sniper training proved to be Maya's greatest strength. While other students struggled with the mental demands of precision shooting under stress, Maya seemed to enter a state of calm focus that impressed even her most demanding instructors. She developed a reputation for making impossible shots under the most challenging conditions, earning the respect of everyone in her unit. Now, lying on that ridge in Afghanistan, Maya called upon every lesson she had learned and every skill she had developed. The enemy snipers below represented the ultimate test of her abilities, a challenge that would determine not only her own survival, but the success of the entire mission. She took a deep breath, steadied her rifle, and began to plan the most important engagement of her military career. The sun continued its arc across the sky as Maya studied each target through her scope, memorizing their positions and identifying their equipment. She could see that these were not amateur fighters, but experienced soldiers, possibly former military personnel who had joined the Taliban or foreign fighters with extensive training. Their positioning and equipment suggested a level of professionalism that demanded her complete respect and attention. Maya's mind worked like a tactical computer, calculating distances, wind speeds, and shot sequences. She understood that once she engaged the first target, the others would immediately become aware of her position and begin hunting for her. The window of opportunity would be measured in seconds, not minutes, and every shot would need to be perfect. As the afternoon shadows began to lengthen, Maya made her final preparations. She checked her equipment one last time, ensured her radio was functioning properly, and mentally rehearsed her engagement sequence. The weight of her rifle felt comforting in her hands, a tool she trusted completely after years of training and combat experience. The mission that had started as a routine reconnaissance operation was about to become something far more significant. Maya did not yet know that her actions in the next few hours would save not only her own team, but dozens of other coalition soldiers who would have fallen victim to the elaborate ambush being prepared in the valley below. All she knew was that 7 enemy snipers stood between her team and their successful completion of the mission. The stage was set for a confrontation that would test every skill Maya had developed during her military career. The enemy was professional, well-positioned, and completely unaware of the threat that lay hidden among the rocks above them. Maya's finger found the trigger of her rifle as she prepared to engage in what would become one of the most remarkable displays of marksmanship in modern military history. The silence of the Afghan mountains was about to be shattered by the sound of precision gunfire, and when the echoes faded, the legend of Maya Chun would be forever etched into the annals of military history. Maya's breathing fell into the rhythm she had practiced thousands of times during training. 4 counts in, hold for 2, 4 counts out. Her heart rate slowed to an almost meditative pace as she entered what her instructors had called the zone, that state of heightened awareness where everything except the immediate task faded into the background. Through her scope, she studied the first target with clinical precision. The enemy sniper was positioned approximately 600 meters away, partially concealed behind a natural rock formation that provided excellent cover from most angles. However, Maya's elevated position offered a narrow window of opportunity, a gap between 2 rocks that exposed just enough of the target's profile to make a shot possible. The sniper was clearly experienced. His rifle was a Russian-made SVD Dragunov, well-maintained and equipped with a quality scope. Maya could see that he had taken time to camouflage his position with local vegetation, and his shooting stance suggested professional training. This was not an amateur fighter, but a skilled marksman who posed a genuine threat to her team. Maya's tactical assessment revealed the complexity of her situation. The 7 enemy snipers were positioned in a rough semicircle around the valley, with overlapping fields of fire that created multiple kill zones. Each shooter had selected their position to cover specific approach routes while remaining largely hidden from the others. It was a textbook defensive setup that demonstrated sophisticated planning and coordination. The second target was located on a ridge roughly 700 meters to the east. This sniper had chosen a position behind a large boulder that provided almost complete concealment, with only the muzzle of his rifle occasionally visible as he scanned the valley below. Maya noted that he appeared to be using an older model rifle, possibly a capture NATO weapon, but his positioning suggested he understood its capabilities and limitations. As Maya continued her reconnaissance, she began to understand the full scope of the trap her team had walked into. The enemy snipers were not randomly positioned, but had been carefully placed to create a coordinated ambush. Each shooter could cover the other's blind spots, and their positioning made it nearly impossible for a ground assault to succeed without significant casualties. The third and fourth targets were positioned on opposite sides of a narrow ravine, creating a crossfire zone that would devastate any force attempting to advance on the target building. Maya could see that these 2 shooters were in radio communication with each other, occasionally making subtle hand gestures that suggested they were coordinating their coverage of the area. Target number 5 was perhaps the most dangerous of all. Positioned on a high promontory that dominated the entire valley, this sniper had an almost unobstructed view of every approach route. Maya could see through her scope that he was using a long-range rifle with an advanced scope, possibly a Barrett .50 caliber or similar weapon. His position was expertly camouflaged, and he moved with the confidence of someone who believed himself to be invisible. The sixth target presented a unique challenge. This sniper had positioned himself in what appeared to be a natural cave or rock shelter, with only his rifle barrel visible through a narrow opening. The position was virtually impregnable to direct assault and offered excellent protection from counter-sniper fire. Maya realized that engaging this target would require perfect timing and placement. The seventh and final sniper was located closest to her team's position, only 400 meters away on a neighboring ridge. This proximity made him both the most immediate threat and potentially the most difficult target to engage without alerting the others. Maya could see that he was young, possibly in his early 20s, but his equipment and positioning suggested he had received quality training. Maya's mind began working through the tactical problem like a complex mathematical equation. She needed to eliminate all 7 targets before any of them could effectively return fire or alert the others to her position. The sequence of engagement would be critical. She would need to prioritize targets based on their threat level, visibility, and ability to communicate with others. Her first consideration was ammunition. Maya carried 20 rounds of match-grade ammunition, more than enough for 7 targets under normal circumstances. However, these were not normal circumstances. Each shot would need to be perfect, with no opportunity for follow-up shots or corrections. Missing even one target could result in her position being compromised and her team being eliminated. The wind conditions added another layer of complexity to her calculations. The mountain terrain created unpredictable air currents that could affect bullet trajectory over long distances. Maya had been observing the vegetation and dust patterns for hours, building a mental map of wind directions and velocities that would inform her shooting decisions. Maya began her engagement sequence by focusing on the most dangerous target, the sniper on high promontory with a long-range rifle. This shooter posed the greatest threat to her team and had the best vantage point to spot her position once she began firing. Eliminating him first would remove the enemy's best early warning capability. She adjusted her scope for the 800-meter shot, accounting for the elevation difference, wind speed, and the target's partial concealment. Maya's breathing slowed even further as she settled into her final shooting position. Years of training had prepared her for this moment, but she understood that no amount of preparation could guarantee success against such skilled opponents. The crosshairs settled on a narrow gap in the target's concealment. Maya could see just enough of the enemy sniper's profile to make the shot, but the margin for error was virtually non-existent. A difference of inches would mean the difference between success and failure, between her team's survival and their destruction. Maya's finger found the trigger and applied the first stage of pressure. Her mind was completely focused on the shot, blocking out everything else, the discomfort of her position, the stakes of the mission, even the presence of her teammates nearby. In this moment, there was only the target, the rifle, and the shot that would begin the most intense engagement of her military career. The first shot broke with surprising clarity in the thin mountain air. Maya watched through her scope as the bullet found its mark, striking the enemy sniper's center mass and eliminating him instantly. The sound of the shot echoed off the rocky walls of the valley, but Maya was already transitioning to her second target before the echo faded. The second sniper, located 700 meters to the east, was beginning to react to the sound of gunfire. Maya could see him shifting position behind his boulder, trying to locate the source of the shot. She had perhaps 10 seconds before he would be fully alert and scanning for her position. Maya's rifle swung smoothly to the new target, her scope adjustments made automatically from hours of practice. The second shot followed less than 15 seconds after the first. The enemy sniper had just raised his head above his concealment when Maya's bullet found him. The precision of the shot was remarkable given the distance and the target's partial concealment, but Maya had no time to appreciate her marksmanship. She was already moving to target number 3. The crossfire team in the ravine was now fully alert, both snipers scanning frantically for the source of the gunfire that had eliminated 2 of their comrades. Maya could see them communicating urgently through hand signals, trying to coordinate their response to a threat they could not yet locate. Their panic was evident even at a distance, but Maya knew that their training would soon overcome their initial shock. Maya's third shot targeted the sniper on the left side of the ravine, a 600-meter shot that required precise timing. The target was moving erratically, making him difficult to track, but Maya had anticipated this behavior. She led the target slightly, accounting for his movement pattern, and squeezed the trigger during a brief pause in his evasive maneuvering. The shot struck home, but not before the remaining sniper in the ravine had spotted her muzzle flash. Maya could see him swinging his rifle toward her position, his scope searching for her among the rocks and shadows of her concealment. She had been discovered, and the tactical situation was about to become significantly more challenging. Maya's fourth shot came under direct threat for the first time. The enemy sniper was actively hunting for her, his rifle trained in her general direction. Maya had to balance speed with accuracy, knowing that a missed shot would likely result in incoming fire from a skilled marksman. Her breathing remained controlled as she settled the crosshairs on the enemy sniper's position and fired. The bullet struck the target just as he was acquiring her position through his scope. Maya saw his rifle swing away from her location as he slumped forward, but she knew that her concealment had been compromised. The remaining 3 snipers would now have a general idea of her location, making the final phase of the engagement the most dangerous. Target number 5 was the young sniper on the neighboring ridge, only 400 meters away. His proximity made him an immediate threat, but it also made him an easier target. Maya could see that he was frantically trying to spot her position, his rifle sweeping back and forth across the rocky terrain where she lay hidden. Maya's 5th shot was her quickest yet, fired almost instinctively as the target's rifle barrel swung toward her hiding place. The range was relatively short for a sniper engagement, but the pressure was immense. Maya's bullet struck the target before he could acquire her position, eliminating another threat with characteristic precision. 2 targets remained, the sniper hidden in the cave-like position and one other whose location Maya had temporarily lost track of during the rapid engagement sequence. She knew that these final opponents would be the most dangerous, as they had observed her eliminate 5 of their comrades, and would be prepared for her tactics. The cave-dwelling sniper presented a unique challenge. His position was virtually impregnable to direct fire, with only a narrow opening through which he could shoot. Maya realized that she would need to wait for him to expose himself, either to take a shot or to reposition. Patience, which had been her ally throughout the engagement, now became even more critical. Maya settled into an overwatch position, her rifle trained on the cave opening while she scanned for the 7th target. Her ammunition count was still adequate, but she was acutely aware that every shot from this point forward would be taken under increasingly difficult circumstances. The surviving snipers knew her general location and would be coordinating their efforts to eliminate her. The psychological pressure of the situation was immense, but Maya drew on years of training and combat experience to maintain her focus. She had eliminated 5 skilled enemy snipers in less than 3 minutes, a feat that would be considered remarkable under any circumstances. However, the mission was not complete, and the most challenging shots still lay ahead. Maya's radio crackled softly with a transmission from her team leader, a brief inquiry about her status. She responded with a simple hand signal, indicating that she was engaged but operational. Her teammates remained in their concealed positions, providing security while she dealt with the sniper threat that could have eliminated their entire unit. The afternoon sun was beginning to cast longer shadows across the valley, changing the light conditions, and a affecting Maya's ability to spot targets. She knew that time was not on her side. The longer the engagement continued, the more likely it became that enemy reinforcements would arrive or that the remaining snipers would succeed in coordinating an effective counterattack. Maya's concentration was absolute as she prepared for the final phase of what had already become one of the most remarkable sniper engagements in modern military history. 2 targets remained, and their elimination would determine whether her team could complete their mission or would be forced to withdraw under fire. The weight of that responsibility settled on her shoulders as she continued her patient vigil, waiting for the opportunity to complete what she had started. The silence that followed Maya's 5th shot was deceptive. While the valley appeared peaceful to casual observation, she knew that 2 highly trained snipers were somewhere among the rocks and shadows, hunting her with the same intensity she had used to eliminate their comrades. The psychological dynamic of the engagement had shifted dramatically. Maya was no longer the unseen predator, but a known threat that required immediate elimination. Maya's position, while well concealed initially, had been partially compromised by the muzzle flashes from a rifle. She had fired 5 shots from the same location, and any competent sniper would be able to triangulate her approximate position based on the sound signatures and visible flashes. The smart move would be to relocate, but Maya understood that movement would make her vulnerable to observation and potentially reveal her exact location to the remaining enemies. Instead, she made a calculated decision to remain in place, while shifting her position slightly within her concealed area. Maya moved with painstaking slowness, adjusting her location by only a few feet, but changing her angle of fire significantly. This micro-movement technique was something she had learned from a British SAS instructor during advanced training, and it had proven effective in previous engagements. The sniper hidden in the cave-like position remained her primary concern. Maya could see the dark opening where he was concealed, but the angle of the cave prevented her from getting a clear shot at anyone inside. She realized that this enemy was probably the most experienced of the group, having chosen a position that was virtually immune to counter-sniper fire while still providing him with excellent visibility of the surrounding area. Maya's patience was tested as she waited for the cave sniper to reveal himself. Minutes passed with no movement from the position, and she began to wonder if her target was planning to wait her out. The psychological pressure of knowing that someone was actively hunting her while she remained motionless was intense, but Maya drew on her training to maintain her focus and discipline. The location of the 7th sniper remained a mystery. Maya had lost track of this target during the rapid engagement sequence, and she suspected that he had repositioned during the gunfight. This unknown element added a dangerous variable to her tactical calculations. At any moment, a bullet could come from an unexpected direction, ending her mission and her life simultaneously. Maya's enhanced awareness, honed by years of combat experience, detected a subtle change in the environment. A small pebble had shifted position on a ridge approximately 500 meters to her right, a movement so slight that most observers would have dismissed it as natural. However, Maya's trained eye recognized it as a possible indicator of human presence. She adjusted her scope to examine the area more closely. Through her magnified optics, Maya could just make out the outline of a rifle barrel protruding from behind a rock formation. The 7th sniper had indeed repositioned and was now attempting to flank her from an unexpected angle. His new position was tactically sound, offering him a clear line of sight to Maya's concealed location while providing excellent cover from return fire. Maya faced a critical decision. She could engage this newly discovered target immediately, but doing so would reveal her exact position to the sniper hidden in the cave. Alternatively, she could wait and see if the cave sniper would eventually expose himself, but this approach risked allowing the flanking sniper to acquire a clear shot at her position. Either choice carried significant risks. The decision was made for her when Maya detected movement from the cave position. Through her scope, she could see the glint of metal as the hidden sniper adjusted his rifle within the cave opening. The angle of reflection suggested that he was preparing to take a shot, possibly having spotted her general location through careful observation of her previous muzzle flashes. Maya's tactical training kicked in as she processed multiple variables simultaneously. Wind speed had increased slightly, affecting long-range accuracy. The light conditions were changing as the sun continued its descent, creating new shadows that could either help or hinder her concealment. Most importantly, she was now facing a two-front engagement against opponents who knew her approximate location. The shot that would eliminate the sixth target required split-second timing. Maya had identified a narrow window of opportunity where the cave sniper would need to expose himself to take an effective shot at her position. She pre-positioned her rifle at the calculated angle and waited for the enemy to make his move. The enemy sniper's rifle barrel emerged from the cave opening slowly, followed by the distinctive outline of a telescopic scope. Maya could see that he was using a high-end precision rifle, probably equipped with advanced optics that would make him extremely dangerous at long range. The moment his scope reached the position needed to acquire her target area, Maya fired. The sixth shot of the engagement was perhaps Maya's most technically challenging. The target was partially concealed, the range was considerable, and she was firing under the immediate threat of return fire. Maya's bullet struck the enemy sniper just as he was settling into a shooting position, eliminating him before he could complete his aim. However, Maya's muzzle flash had now revealed her exact position to the final enemy sniper. She could see him adjusting his rifle toward her location, his scope searching for her among the rocks where she lay concealed. This was the moment she had been dreading, a direct duel between two skilled marksmen with no room for error on either side. Maya's relocation became urgent. She began moving immediately after her sixth shot, using a technique called shoot and scoot that she had practiced extensively during training. The movement had to be fast enough to avoid incoming fire, but controlled enough to maintain her ability to return accurate fire when the opportunity arose. The seventh sniper's bullet struck the rock where Maya had been positioned less than 3 seconds earlier. The impact sent stone fragments flying, and Maya could hear the distinctive crack of a high-velocity round passing overhead. Her enemy was clearly skilled and had nearly succeeded in eliminating her with his first shot. Maya's new position was approximately 30 meters from her original location, but it offered a completely different angle of fire on the remaining target. She had moved to a spot that she had identified earlier as a secondary position, a location that provided good concealment while maintaining visibility of the enemy's suspected location. Through her scope, Maya could see that the final sniper was also relocating. He understood that his shot had missed, and that remaining in the same position would make him vulnerable to return fire. Maya caught brief glimpses of movement as he shifted to a new firing position, but he was too skilled to provide an easy target. The psychological pressure of this final engagement was unlike anything Maya had experienced. Both snipers knew the other's general location, both were highly skilled, and both understood that the next few minutes would determine who survived the encounter. This was no longer about completing a mission. It had become a personal duel between two warriors at the peak of their abilities. Maya's breathing remained controlled despite the adrenaline coursing through her system. Years of training had prepared her for exactly this type of situation, and she drew on every lesson she had learned about patience, precision, and tactical thinking. The enemy sniper was skilled, but Maya had advantages that he might not be aware of. Her first advantage was her equipment. Maya's rifle was a precision instrument that had been carefully maintained and zeroed for maximum accuracy. Her scope was a high-end military model with advanced reticles that allowed for precise range estimation and bullet drop compensation. Most importantly, her ammunition was match-grade, manufactured to exacting specifications that ensured consistent performance. Maya's second advantage was her training. While her opponent was undoubtedly skilled, Maya had received instruction from some of the finest marksmen in the world. Her techniques had been refined through thousands of hours of practice and tested in multiple combat deployments. She possessed a level of professional competence that few snipers could match. The third advantage was psychological. Maya had already eliminated 6 enemy snipers in a single engagement, demonstrating a level of skill and composure that would be intimidating to any opponent. The surviving sniper had watched his entire team be systematically eliminated by an opponent he could not even see clearly. This psychological pressure could affect his decision-making and accuracy under stress. Maya waited patiently for her opponent to make the next move. She had learned from experience that aggressive tactics were not always the best approach in sniper engagements. Sometimes, the victory went to the marksman who could maintain discipline and wait for the perfect opportunity rather than the one who fired first. The final enemy sniper made his move approximately 10 minutes after their initial exchange of fire. Maya caught sight of movement as he shifted to what he probably believed was a better position. However, his movement had exposed him to observation from Maya's new location, and she began tracking his progress through her scope. The enemy had chosen a position that offered excellent concealment from his original view of Maya's location, but he had not accounted for her relocation. This tactical error provided Maya with the opportunity she had been waiting for. She could see enough of his profile to make an effective shot, and the range was well within her capabilities. Maya's final shot of the engagement was taken with deliberate care. She accounted for all variables: wind speed, range, target movement, and lighting conditions. Her breathing slowed to the familiar rhythm as she settled into the shooting position that had become second nature through years of practice. The crosshairs aligned with her target as Maya applied pressure to the trigger. The 7th shot broke clean and true. Maya watched through her scope as the bullet found its mark, eliminating the final threat to her team and completing one of the most remarkable sniper engagements in modern military history. 7 enemy snipers, all skilled and professionally trained, had been eliminated by a single marksman in less than 30 minutes. The silence that followed was profound. Maya remained in her shooting position for several minutes, scanning the area through her scope to ensure that no additional threats existed. Her tactical discipline demanded that she verify the elimination of all targets before declaring the area secure, and she methodically checked each position where the enemy snipers had been located. Maya's radio crackled with a transmission from her team leader requesting a situation report. She responded with the code phrase indicating that all threats had been eliminated and the area was secure for movement. The relief in her team leader's voice was evident even through the static of the radio transmission. As Maya finally allowed herself to relax slightly, the magnitude of what she had accomplished began to sink in. 7 enemy snipers had been positioned to ambush her team and potentially dozens of other coalition forces. Her actions had not only saved her immediate unit, but had likely prevented a much larger engagement that could have resulted in significant casualties. The mission could now proceed as originally planned. Maya's team could advance on the target building and complete their reconnaissance objectives without fear of being eliminated by hidden snipers. The Taliban commander they had been sent to observe would have no idea that his carefully planned ambush had been completely neutralized by a single American soldier. Maya began the process of carefully extracting from her position, moving with the same deliberate caution that had characterized her entire approach to the engagement. The mission was not complete until her team had safely returned to base, and she understood that enemy reinforcements could arrive at any time. As she moved down from her shooting position, Maya reflected on the engagement she had just completed. 7 shots, 7 targets eliminated, 0 friendly casualties. It was the kind of performance that would become legendary within the sniper community. But for Maya, it was simply another day of doing the job she had trained for her entire military career. Maya's descent from her shooting position required the same meticulous attention to detail that had characterized her entire engagement. Every step was carefully planned, every movement calculated to avoid detection by potential observers. The elimination of 7 enemy snipers did not guarantee that the area was completely secure, and Maya's training demanded that she maintain operational security until her team had successfully completed their mission and returned to base. Her teammates had remained in their concealed positions throughout the sniper engagement, providing overwatch and security while Maya dealt with the immediate threat. As she approached their location, Maya could see the mixture of relief and admiration in their eyes. They had all heard the 7 shots fired over the course of the engagement, and they understood the significance of what their teammate had accomplished. Corporal Johnson, the team's communications specialist, was the first to speak as Maya reached their position. His voice was barely above a whisper, maintaining the operational security protocols that had kept them alive during their time in hostile territory. He reported that no enemy communications had been intercepted during the sniper engagement, suggesting that the eliminated snipers had not been able to alert their commanders about the presence of American forces in the area. Sergeant Martinez, the team medic, conducted a quick visual assessment of Maya to ensure she had not been injured during the engagement. The proximity of the final sniper's shot had been close enough to send rock fragments flying around her position, and Martinez wanted to verify that she was fully operational before they proceeded with the mission. His examination revealed minor cuts from stone debris, but nothing that would affect Maya's performance. Private Rodriguez, the explosive specialist, had been monitoring the target building through his own optics during the sniper engagement. He reported that no additional movement had been observed around the compound, and there were no signs that the occupants were aware of the elimination of their security perimeter. This intelligence was crucial for the next phase of their operation. The 3 reconnaissance soldiers had maintained security during Maya's engagement, watching for signs of enemy reinforcements or additional threats. Their vigilance had ensured that Maya could focus entirely on eliminating the sniper threat without concern for other potential dangers. Their professionalism and discipline had contributed significantly to the success of the operation. Maya's team leader, Staff Sergeant Williams, conducted a brief tactical assessment of their situation. The elimination of the enemy snipers had removed the most immediate threat to their mission, but it had also started a clock that was now counting down to potential discovery. The missing snipers would eventually be noticed by their commanders, and search parties would likely be dispatched to investigate their disappearance. The original mission plan called for a detailed reconnaissance of the target building and the collection of intelligence about Taliban Commander Khalil Hakim's activities in the area. However, the discovery and elimination of the sniper ambush had revealed that the enemy's presence in the valley was much more significant than originally believed. This new intelligence suggested that a major operation was being planned, making their reconnaissance mission even more critical. Williams made the tactical decision to proceed with the original plan while expediting their timeline. The team would advance to their observation positions overlooking the target building and gather as much intelligence as possible before extracting from the area. The window of opportunity was now limited, but the importance of the intelligence they could gather had increased dramatically. Maya's role in the next phase of the mission would be to provide overwatch security for her teammates as they moved into position. Her demonstrated marksmanship skills made her the logical choice to cover the team's advance and watch for additional threats. The elimination of the 7 snipers had proven her capabilities beyond any doubt, and her teammates had complete confidence in her ability to protect them. The advance toward the target building required crossing approximately 800 meters of open ground with minimal natural concealment. Maya positioned herself on a ridge that provided excellent visibility of the entire valley while her teammates began their careful movement toward their reconnaissance positions. Her rifle remained ready, and her scope swept continuously across potential threat areas. The target building was a traditional Afghan compound consisting of several connected structures surrounded by high mud brick walls. Intelligence reports had suggested that it was being used as a meeting place for Taliban commanders, but the presence of the sophisticated sniper ambush indicated that it might be serving a much more important purpose. The building's location in a remote valley made it an ideal location for planning operations without fear of observation or interference. Maya's scope revealed details about the compound that had not been visible from their original position. Multiple vehicles were parked within the compound walls, including several that appeared to be technical vehicles equipped with heavy weapons. The number and type of vehicles suggested that a significant meeting was indeed taking place, possibly involving commanders from multiple Taliban units. Through her optics, Maya could observe guards posted at strategic points around the compound perimeter. These sentries appeared to be well-trained and equipped, moving in patterns that suggested military discipline rather than the casual approach often seen with irregular fighters. Their presence confirmed that the compound was hosting individuals of significant importance to the Taliban's organizational structure. Maya's teammates reached their observation positions without incident, establishing concealed locations that provided excellent visibility of the target building's main entrance and courtyard areas. They began the painstaking process of documenting everything they observed, creating detailed intelligence reports that would be invaluable for future operations against Taliban leadership. The intelligence gathering process revealed information that exceeded their mission parameters. Radio intercepts indicated that the meeting in the compound involved not just local Taliban commanders, but also foreign fighters and possibly representatives from other terrorist organizations. The scope of the gathering suggested that a major offensive operation was being coordinated, with implications that extended far beyond the local area. Maya maintained her overwatch position as her teammates worked, her rifle ready to engage any threats that might emerge. The afternoon sun was beginning to set, creating long shadows that provided additional concealment for their positions, but also made it more difficult to observe potential threats. The changing light conditions required constant adjustment of her optics and shooting solutions. The most significant intelligence breakthrough came when Maya's teammates were able to photograph several high-value targets entering and leaving the compound. Among these individuals was not only Khalil Hakim, their original target, but also several other commanders who had been on coalition target lists for months. The gathering represented an unprecedented opportunity to eliminate multiple terrorist leaders simultaneously. However, Maya's team was not equipped for a direct assault on the compound. Their mission was reconnaissance only, and they lacked the personnel and equipment necessary to conduct an effective attack against the heavily defended position. The intelligence they were gathering would need to be transmitted to higher headquarters for action by a larger, more heavily equipped force. As evening approached, Maya observed increased activity around the compound. Additional vehicles arrived, and the number of guards was reinforced. It became clear that the meeting was reaching a critical phase, possibly involving the final coordination of whatever operation was being planned. The timing suggested that immediate action might be necessary to prevent a significant terrorist attack. Maya's team leader made the decision to call for immediate support while continuing their intelligence-gathering mission. Radio communications with headquarters revealed that a quick reaction force was available and could be dispatched to the area within hours. However, the presence of Maya's team in the valley complicated any assault planning, as they would need to be extracted safely before any attack could commence. The intelligence picture continued to develop as Maya's teammates documented the compound's defensive preparations and identified key individuals among the Taliban leadership. Their reconnaissance had revealed not just a meeting, but what appeared to be the final coordination phase of a major terrorist operation. The stakes of their mission had increased dramatically from simple observation to potential prevention of a large-scale attack. Maya's position provided her with a unique perspective on the entire valley and the approaches that would be used by any incoming coalition forces. She began identifying optimal routes for an assault force while continuing to provide security for her teammates. Her tactical knowledge, combined with her demonstrated marksmanship skills, made her input invaluable for planning any follow-up operations. The psychological pressure of their situation was immense. Maya and her teammates had stumbled upon what appeared to be one of the most significant intelligence opportunities of the entire conflict. The information they were gathering could potentially save hundreds of lives by preventing a coordinated terrorist attack, but they were operating with minimal support in hostile territory with limited extraction options. As darkness began to fall across the valley, Maya's team faced critical decisions about how long they could remain in position and continue their intelligence gathering. The longer they stayed, the more valuable information they could collect, but each additional hour in the field increased their risk of discovery and elimination. The Taliban forces in the compound would eventually notice the absence of their sniper security teams. Maya's remarkable engagement against 7 enemy snipers had been just the beginning of what would become one of the most significant intelligence operations of the Afghan conflict. Her actions had not only saved her team's lives, but had also created the opportunity for them to gather intelligence that could prevent a major terrorist attack and eliminate multiple high-value targets. The success of the sniper engagement had demonstrated Maya's exceptional skills under the most challenging circumstances, but the night ahead would test her team's ability to extract safely with the critical intelligence they had gathered. Maya understood that their mission was far from complete and that the most dangerous phase might still lie ahead. As she maintained her vigilant watch over the valley, Maya reflected on the events that had brought her team to this moment. What had started as a routine reconnaissance mission had evolved into something much more significant, with implications that extended far beyond their immediate operational area. Her actions in eliminating the enemy snipers had been crucial, but the real test of their mission success would come in the hours ahead as they attempted to extract safely with intelligence that could change the course of the broader conflict. The legend of Maya Chen's remarkable marksmanship was already being written, but the full story of her contribution to the war effort was still unfolding in the darkness of the Afghan valley. The extraction of Maya's team from the valley would prove to be as challenging as any phase of their mission. As darkness enveloped the Afghan mountains, the compound below continued to buzz with activity that suggested the terrorist meeting was reaching its climax. Radio intercepts indicated that final decisions were being made about operational timelines and target selection, making the intelligence Maya's team had gathered even more critical. Maya maintained her overwatch position as her teammates began the delicate process of withdrawing from their observation posts. Each movement had to be carefully coordinated to avoid detection by the increased number of sentries around the compound. The Taliban forces were clearly on high alert, possibly due to the failure of their sniper teams to report in according to their established communication schedule. The quick reaction force promised by headquarters was still several hours away, but Maya's team could not wait for their arrival. The risk of discovery increased with every minute they remained in the valley, and their extraction needed to begin immediately to ensure they could reach the designated pickup point before dawn. Maya would need to cover her team's withdrawal while remaining in position until the last possible moment. Staff Sergeant Williams coordinated the withdrawal sequence through hand signals and whispered radio transmissions. Maya's teammates would move individually to predetermined rally points, with Maya providing overwatch security for each phase of their movement. Her demonstrated ability to engage targets at long range made her the ideal choice to discourage any pursuit once their movement was detected. Corporal Johnson was the first to begin his withdrawal, moving carefully along a route that had been planned to minimize exposure to observation from the compound below. Maya tracked his movement through her scope, ready to engage any threats that might develop during his transit. The communications specialist reached his first rally point without incident, but Maya could see increased activity among the compound's guards. Sergeant Martinez began his movement 10 minutes after Johnson had cleared the danger area. The medic's route took him across more open ground, making him vulnerable to observation from multiple guard positions around the compound. Maya's attention was focused entirely on the compound's sentries, watching for any sign that Martinez's movement had been detected. Halfway through Martinez's movement, Maya observed a guard on the compound's northeastern wall pointing in the medic's direction. The sentry appeared to have detected some sign of movement, possibly the brief silhouette of Martinez against the night sky. Maya made a split-second decision that would determine whether her team could extract successfully or would be forced into a running firefight. Maya's 8th shot of the mission eliminated the alert guard before he could raise an alarm or alert other sentries to the presence of American forces. The suppressed round struck the target silently, and his body fell back into the compound without creating a visible disturbance. Maya's quick action had prevented the compromise of their withdrawal, but she knew that the missing guard would eventually be noticed. Private Rodriguez and the three reconnaissance soldiers began their movement as a group, using a route that took them through a series of natural ravines that provided excellent concealment from the compound. Maya watched their progress while simultaneously monitoring the compound for signs that their presence had been discovered. The tension was extraordinary as she tried to cover multiple angles of observation simultaneously. Maya's scope detected movement from a vehicle that was departing the compound, its headlights sweeping across the valley floor as it navigated the rough terrain. The timing of the vehicle's departure was suspicious, and Maya wondered if it might be carrying some of the terrorist leadership away from the meeting. Her teammates were still in the middle of their extraction, making it impossible to engage the vehicle without compromising their safety. The vehicle's route took it directly through an area where Maya's teammates would need to cross during their withdrawal. Williams made the tactical decision to delay their movement until the vehicle had passed, but this delay increased their risk of discovery by other means. Maya maintained her vigilant watch while her teammates remained hidden in whatever concealment they could find. Maya's patience was rewarded when the vehicle continued past their position without stopping or showing any signs that its occupants had detected American forces in the area. Her teammates resumed their movement toward the extraction point, but Maya could see additional vehicles preparing to depart from the compound. The meeting was clearly ending, and the dispersal of terrorist leadership would begin soon. As her teammates reached their rally points and began the final phase of their extraction, Maya prepared for her own withdrawal from the Overwatch position. This would be the most dangerous moment of the entire operation, as she would be moving without anyone to provide covering fire. Her route to the extraction point was longer than the others, and she would be traveling alone through terrain that might be patrolled by enemy forces. Maya's withdrawal began with the same careful attention to detail that had characterized her entire mission. Every step was planned to minimize noise and avoid silhouetting herself against the night sky. Her rifle remained ready for immediate use, and her route incorporated multiple positions where she could take cover if discovered by enemy patrols. The first phase of Maya's extraction took her across the same ridge, where she had conducted her remarkable engagement against 7 enemy snipers. As she moved past the positions where she had eliminated each target, Maya reflected on the engagement that had saved her team's lives and enabled their successful intelligence-gathering mission. The precision and speed of her marksmanship had been crucial to everything that followed. Maya's route included a planned observation halt where she could monitor the compound one final time before leaving the area. Through her scope, she could see that additional vehicles were now departing, confirming that the terrorist meeting was indeed concluding. The intelligence her team had gathered about the timing and participants would be invaluable for planning future operations against Taliban leadership. As Maya resumed her movement toward the extraction point, she encountered the first sign that enemy forces were beginning to search for the missing sniper teams. A patrol of 4 fighters was moving along the valley floor, their flashlights sweeping back and forth as they searched for any signs of the American forces they suspected might be in the area. Maya remained motionless until the patrol had passed, then continued her careful advance. The extraction point was located on a plateau approximately 3 kilometers from Maya's Overwatch position, chosen for its suitability as a helicopter landing zone and its distance from likely enemy patrol routes. Maya's teammates had already reached the area and were establishing security for the incoming extraction aircraft. Maya would be the last to arrive, completing the team's successful withdrawal from one of the most dangerous missions of their deployment. Maya's arrival at the extraction point was greeted with quiet relief from her teammates, who had been monitoring enemy radio communications and knew that search parties were beginning to fan out across the valley. The quick reaction force that had been promised was still en route, but Maya's team had gathered enough intelligence to justify an immediate follow-up operation against the compound and its remaining occupants. The extraction helicopter arrived precisely on schedule, its crew having navigated through hostile airspace to reach the designated landing zone. Maya and her teammates boarded quickly, their mission equipment and captured intelligence secured for immediate analysis by headquarters personnel. As the aircraft lifted off and turned toward friendly territory, Maya could see fires beginning to appear across the valley as enemy forces expanded their search. During the flight back to base, Maya's teammates began the process of organizing and cataloging the intelligence they had gathered. The photographs, radio intercepts, and tactical observations would be analyzed by specialists who could extract every possible detail about Taliban operations and leadership. The information would likely lead to multiple follow-up operations designed to eliminate the terrorist networks they had uncovered. Maya's performance during the mission had already become the subject of intense discussion among the helicopter crew and her teammates. 7 enemy snipers eliminated in a single engagement was unprecedented in their unit's experience, and the precision of Maya's marksmanship under extreme pressure had impressed everyone who heard the details. Her actions had not only saved her team, but had enabled the collection of intelligence that could prevent future terrorist attacks. The debriefing process began immediately upon their return to base, with intelligence analysts eager to extract every detail about the terrorist meeting and the compound's defensive preparations. Maya's tactical observations about the enemy sniper positions and equipment would be valuable for training future soldiers who might encounter similar threats. Her engagement techniques and decision-making process would be studied and incorporated into sniper training programs. Maya's commanding officers were already discussing the appropriate recognition for her actions during the mission. The elimination of 7 enemy snipers in a single engagement, combined with her professional conduct throughout the operation, represented exactly the kind of performance that merited the highest levels of military recognition. Her actions had saved American lives and contributed significantly to the broader mission objectives. The intelligence gathered by Maya's team would indeed lead to a successful follow-up operation 3 days later. A larger force, equipped with the detailed intelligence about the compound's layout and defensive positions, was able to eliminate several high-value targets and capture significant quantities of weapons and equipment. The operation was a complete success, validating the risks Maya's team had taken during their reconnaissance mission. Maya's remarkable engagement against 7 enemy snipers became legendary within the sniper community and beyond. Her precision, speed, and tactical thinking under extreme pressure set a new standard for what was possible in counter-sniper operations. Training programs began incorporating case studies of her engagement, and her techniques were taught to new generations of military marksmen. The broader impact of Maya's actions extended far beyond the immediate tactical situation. The intelligence gathered during the mission led to the disruption of a planned terrorist attack that could have resulted in significant civilian casualties. Multiple terrorist leaders were eliminated in follow-up operations, seriously degrading Taliban capabilities in the region. Maya's 7 precise shots had reverberations that extended throughout the conflict. Years later, when Maya had completed her military service and returned to civilian life, she rarely spoke about the engagement that had made her famous within military circles. For her, it had simply been another day of doing the job she had trained for, protecting her teammates and completing the mission. The legend of her marksmanship was less important to her than the knowledge that her actions had made a difference in the broader fight against terrorism. Maya's story became an inspiration for future generations of soldiers, particularly women who sought to serve in combat roles. Her demonstration that skill, training, and determination mattered more than physical size or gender stereotypes helped open doors for others who wanted to serve their country in the most demanding military occupations. Her legacy extended far beyond her remarkable marksmanship abilities. The whispered words, "Too many snipers," that had started Maya's engagement became part of military folklore, representing the kind of tactical challenge that could only be overcome by exceptional skill and courage. Maya's response to that challenge, eliminating all 7 threats before they even knew she existed, represented the very best of American military tradition and the individual excellence that made victory possible in the most difficult circumstances. Maya Chan had entered the valley as an experienced but relatively unknown sniper. She left as a legend whose actions would be remembered and studied for generations. Her 7 shots had saved not only her team, but had contributed to a broader victory against terrorist forces that threatened innocent lives around the world. In the unforgiving mountains of Afghanistan, Maya had proven that one soldier with the right skills, training, and determination could change the course of history with precision and courage that few could match. The legend of Maya Chin's remarkable engagement would be told and retold throughout military circles, inspiring future soldiers and demonstrating the impact that individual excellence could have on the broader mission. Her story represented the very best of American military service: skill, courage, and dedication to protecting others regardless of the personal cost. 7 shots, 7 targets eliminated, and a legend that would endure long after the last echoes of gunfire had faded from the Afghan mountains.